Thank you so much for taking your time to listen to my voice. My name is Mwaka Lutukumoi, for those who have not heard me before. If this is your first time watching this video, please hit the subscribe button so that each time I'm online, you can easily get notified. Today, I'm talking about Parliament. It's important that Uganda gets a very solid Parliament so that no one can joke with our laws that were made for the interest of making Uganda better. Parliament is one of the three arms of government, that is executive, judiciary, and legislature. And Parliament plays a big role. If you grew up in African traditional society, you realize that in the kitchen we have cooking pots with 3 stones. So you put the pots on the 3 stones. So the 3, you call it legs, keeps the pot stable. That means the 3 arms of government keeps government stable. So if the other side usurps the power of the other, it means therefore there's no governance. These are the tenets of democracy. The role of a member of parliament are basically 3 important roles. There are many, but the first role is legislative. As in legislative, you do representation. You present, first of all, if I'm a member of parliament, my major aim today is to see how we can ameliorate the problem Uganda has gone through in 1966 crisis, 1986, where we saw close to 1 million people in Buganda die and other Ugandans. We go to 86 to 2007 in northern Uganda, where millions were displaced, over 1.8 million people were displaced, and over 30,000 children were abducted, either made sex slaves or child soldiers. And we go to Kasese, we find that from 1990s to date, they're still having ADF and such problems. So, and Tesu, we had the UPA and many other parts of Uganda, people lost their lives. And if you're yet to realize, you find out that we have had wars, but wars against Ugandans, not against foreign countries. Therefore, it's incumbent in a very solid, able parliament to see that laws are brought in place. My urgent laws that I'll push for is one, reparation law, given the fact that Uganda has gone through a lot of conflict because ethnicity has divided the country so much that you find that the spiral of violence has been going throughout the country, and therefore we must come with a law of reparation that can compensate for the lost decades. Like, for example, in northern Uganda, before 86, actually had over 300,000 cattle. Meaning, if it were up to date, they were stolen by Karamojong or they were taken up by during the war by either rebels or the government troops. So imagine if this wealth were there to date. Uganda today has close to 49 million cattle or more. and meaning by now, if you had to look for in the 30 years, we actually would be the bread basket, because we used to produce cotton, we used to produce many other cash crops, but basically cotton. And this helped to revamp the economy. There were cooperative societies and so on. Therefore, it's important to pass a reparation law. Under reparation law, we'll have compensation of the wealth lost during the war. We shall have, for me, I will suggest education, because education is past terrible. Most of the traditional schools are doing worse, and the entire region is not sending professionals like doctors, like lawyers, and so on. So it's incumbent upon us to come with the legalized laws so that we can revamp the economy. So education, we must look at how to give education in these war-affected areas. At least 20 years, free education, professional education. And also we give chance to Ugandans to go abroad, especially those affected by the wars, to be given chance to have bursaries and go and study outside the country. That's on education. We have to see how, because development is now lopsided. You realize that in 20 years' time, because people are poor, they eat of 40% of Uganda's poverty. It will mean, therefore, that they will remain askaris or bodyguards of those from the other peaceful part of Uganda who had chance to go to school, who had a chance to attain wealth, whose fathers and mothers could be working in the regime that has been for 35 years, and they have been able to do corruption and amass a lot of wealth at the expense of Ugandans. So reparation law will do very well in terms of uniting and building the country Uganda. 2, under reparation, I 3, under reparation, we also look at youth employment. First of all, we have to see that reparation covers the employment of youth. We have to legalize the need to create more industries, cottages, and so on within these regions which are affected. Like, for example, in Lira, we have factories, over 65 factories. We need to see how to make a powerful power grid in the region so that we can be able to have industries built, so that electricity is not like disco lights. This must be legal. People must not beg. Ugandans must not beg. Under reparation law, we look at compensation of the wealth, we look at education, we look at the youth employment. Those are the key things. And under youth employment, under education, we need to help skill the youth. Like, for example, in Gulu East, I'll ensure that each and every division at Onyama, Koro, Lero, Peje, all should have at least a very powerful vocational skilling centers. And with my connection already, I have one in Lero, which I used my contacts to build in 2006. And so far, 1,000 women have graduated, got tailoring machines, got skills on making soap, got skills on making candles. And this is just the beginning. Given the capacity to be in parliament, I'll ensure that at least a lobby actually in diaspora, actually at home, because the most important thing is how to revamp the economy of actually people. And my major cardinal aim is to see that I unite people. As I speak, already I have actually diaspora, actually agenda, and Lutampa actually a very cosmopolitan team that involves actually in diaspora who are educated, who are rich, who are, and even those at home. Recently, in only 1 month, we were able to raise seats worth 1,000 families. So we together come and build a very strong, actually, master plan. That master plan, much as we go to Parliament to pass laws, we as people, if it's to be, it's up to us. We will ensure that we lobby our people, we raise resources, and we set up investment for our people so that people are grouped in groups, cooperatives. We talk to Japan, we talk to America, we talk to China, so that we start producing same in big quantities. We don't go for middlemen. So we give seeds, we talk to breweries companies, and these companies will give us what seeds they want, and we supply our people with seeds, give them empowerment, tractors and so on, or plow, so that they can produce in big quantity. And this will revamp the socio-economic status of the people. Because if it is to be, it's up to us. Gone are the days when we lament. This time we need leadership that can unite together to see that these things are put in place. Besides legislative role, there's budgetary role of member of parliament. Me as a member elected, I will ensure that I advocate for allocations of budgets to areas that affect Ugandans. For example, agriculture. Over 76% of people depends on agriculture of Ugandans. And then over 80% depends on land. Meaning, therefore, we need to put a lot on agriculture. At the moment, our budget allocation is something like 2% on agriculture, which is a minuscule. So we look at health, we look at education. Those are the major areas. We have to look at the big four that can revamp the economy of Uganda and take them away from the region of poverty. Besides, that will help to revamp the economy from $25 billion, we shall go up to $70 to $100 billion as GDP. Of course, after curbing and having responsible leadership that will fight corruption. That's why we advocate for change in the whole system, in the whole status quo, in the regime. And that's why President Museveni has got the key to the future of hope or doom for Uganda. He must immediately sit down and rethink about the fake scientific election and think widely for Uganda. There's no need to rush for election that will cause chaos in Uganda, that will make Uganda go into anarchy, as we had heard before. We need a peaceful, tranquil country, and this will only be if we Ugandans unite together as one. Besides, under budgetary role, I skipped a bit in representation. I also intend that we should push for law. I will push for a law of truth, national truth and reconciliation, given the fact that I gave the timeline of conflicts in this country. Meaning, therefore, we need we need truth and reconciliation law, apology law. In Australia and other countries where the Aborigines were murdered and killed, they came with a national apology day, national sorry day. Uganda needs that if you're to go far. And therefore, that is one of the laws I'll push for, whether minority or general report. We shall push for that law so that we have truth and reconciliation for our country. And therefore, this law will help us to build the fractured societies, which is ethnically divided. If you look at the independence, we were able to come together and build a nation, by tribes and so on. These tribes came together to form Uganda. So what am I saying? We have to do, that door must be there. And then we must ensure that the term limits are installed, reinstituted, the age limit is reinstituted, so that we don't have a president who will go for more than 10 years. This is terrible. We need a better future for Ugandans and our children. I'm a father of 5 children. So, meaning therefore, we should see a way of uniting Ugandans and making it better. So, those are very key issues. Besides corruption and other laws that should be re-emphasized. And then also how to strengthen multi-party democracy, because the individual merit of the NRM curtail the ethics of democracy. Election has been commercialized. Patronage has become too much. So, countrymen, I've talked a lot, but to me, it's important to have a quality parliament, not a yes parliament. We have to have a peaceful country and a better future for our children, yet unborn. So that's my opinion, and those are my views. Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you for God and my country.